In this video, I'm going to teach you how to do the I-cord bind off. And ironically, in order to begin this bind off, you need to cast on stitches. You will cast on the same number of stitches as you want your I-cord to be. Usually that's 2, 3, or 4 stitches. And I use the knitted cast on, but you can use whatever cast on you're comfortable using. And cast them onto your left needle. So I've casted on 4 stitches, and this is what it looks like. I've got 12 stitches in my swatch, so there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and then 4 stitches for the cast on. But if you look at this, it almost looks like there's 5 stitches on the cast on, because the first stitch of your piece kind of gets pulled over to the cast on stitches, and the gap is between the first and second stitch of your piece, not part of the ones that you just casted on. But it's kind of deceiving, so I wanted to point that out. Now I'm going to demonstrate Continental style first, and then I will switch to English style. To do a row for the I-cord, we're going to knit 1 less than we casted on. So in this case, I casted on 4. I'm going to knit 3. And then slip, slip, knit. So slip, slip, knit. And now we have 4 stitches on our left needle. We're going to transfer them, or on our right needle, we're going to transfer them back to our left needle and do it again. We're going to knit 1 less than what we casted on. So 1, 2, 3, and then slip, slip, knit, slip, slip. And I do the slip, slip, knit inserting the needle this way. If that looks weird to you, that's okay. I'm going to demonstrate it a different way in this next pass. So I'm transferring all those stitches back to my left needle again to do the next row. So I'm going to knit 1 less than I casted on. 1, 2, 3, and then slip, slip, knit. And you might do your slip, slip, knits this way. It looks a little bit different, but has the exact same result. And transfer them back to the left needle. And you can see I've got a little bit of an I-cord starting there at the top of my work. I'm going to switch to English style. So again, knit 1 less than what you casted on. And then slip, slip, knit. Then transfer them all back to the left needle. And do it again. And this time I'll demonstrate the slip, slip, knit the other way. So knitting 1 less than I cast on. And then slip, slip, knit, slip, slip, and you can either put the needle in this way or you can put it in this way for slip, slip, knit. So I'm going to put it in this way this time and knit and transfer them back to your left needle. I'm going to switch back to Continental style because that's the way I normally knit, and it's easier for me. Whoops, look at me. There we go. Guess I got a little used to doing an English style there for a second. All right, I'm going to continue to work across here, but I'm going to point some things out as I do. The slip, slip, knit that we do at the end of each I-cord row You might see some other people do knit two together through the back loop, or slip knit, pass a slip stitch over. So those are all one stitch decreases. And what they all do is connect the last stitch of the I-cord with the first stitch, or with the next stitch of your piece. So you've got the 4 stitches of the I-cord here. You knit, 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 and then you do a slip, slip knit. So you're taking the last stitch of the I-cord and knitting it with the next stitch of your main piece, and that's what causes the bind off. So here, now that I've got them all on one needle, we would knit, 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 and then slip, slip, knit with these two. So we're connecting this last stitch of the I-cord with the next stitch of the main piece, and that's what's causing it to bind off. Now I'm starting to get close to the end, and the way you end an I-cord, you have choices. You can either bind off like normal, but I don't usually do that because it tends to make the end of the I-cord flare. What's more common is to simply cut your tail and thread it through it on a darning needle, and then thread the tail through the remaining stitches on your needle. That's the way I do it most often. Some other options are to do things like knit two together twice, because you've got 4 stitches. That takes it down to 2 stitches. Then thread a darning needle and thread your tail through the remaining 2 stitches. You don't usually need to get real fancy with it. Usually just cutting the tail like I'm going to show you works just fine. But you might want to experiment with some other ways to see what makes it look best for the project you're working on. Okay, now I'm down to the last I-cord row. So after I slip, slip, knit on this one, all of my stitches are now on the right needle. And you can see the I-cord there. If I wanted to bind off like normal, I would turn my work just like you normally do, and then bind off those 4 stitches. You may want to bind them off purlwise since you've turned your work to make it more smooth on the kind of outside or the front side of the I-cord. But what I typically like to do is just to cut my tail, thread it on a darning needle, and then thread the tail through those remaining stitches, which should be the same number that you cast it on. And just kind of give a little tug to pull it tight. And there is the finished I-cord. You can then just weave that or sew that tail in like you normally would. It gives it a nice round edge. You can see it from the back, it looks nice on the back as well.